Hello, I'm tempted to say welcome to Late Night Grace and all that, but today I'm doing a joint effort. And being the person I am, and because I want to spend more time with my wife over the next 2 days, because we've not had a lot of time together over the last week for obvious reasons, so I just want to make one recording. Call it lazy if you want to, I just call it practical. So for those who are against mixing church with work, get over it. This is about proclaiming God's word. I'm going to read some scriptures and then I'm going to play a little game with us because it's a resurrection week. And so we'll play a game, but it's a teaching game. And out of it, we're going to learn something very practical and very special. So come with me on the journey. I want to start first with two scriptures. And these two scriptures are from Matthew 28 and John 20. Let's start with Matthew 28, and it's 1 to 10. Now after the Sabbath, at the dawning of the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to view the tomb. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descended from heaven, and came up and rolled away the stone and sat down on it. Now his appearance was like lightning, and his clothing white as snow. And the guards trembled from the fear of him, and became like dead men. But the angel answered and said to the women, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here. He has risen, just as he said. Come, see the place where he was lying. And go quickly tell his disciples, he has been raised from the dead, and behold, he is going ahead of you into Galilee. You will see him there. Behold, I have told you." And they departed quickly from the tomb with fear and great joy, and ran to tell his disciples. And behold, Jesus met them, saying, "Greetings." And they came up, and they took hold of his feet, and they worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go tell my brothers that they should go to Galilee, and there they will see me." Now that's the account of Jesus in Matthew appearing to Mary Magdalene and another woman. John says this: "But Mary stood outside the tomb weeping. Then while she was weeping, she bent over to look into the tomb. And she saw two angels in white seated, one at the head and one at the feet, where the body of Jesus had been lying. And they said to her, 'Woman, why are you weeping?' She said to them, 'They have taken my Lord, and I do not know where they have put him.' When she had said these things, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there, and she did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to her, 'Woman, why are you weeping? Who are you looking for?' She thought that it was the gardener, and said to him, 'Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have put him, and I will take him.' Jesus said to her, 'Mary.' She turned around and said to him, 'Rabboni,' which means teacher. Jesus said to her, 'Do not touch me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. But go to my brothers and tell them I am ascending to my Father and your Father, and my God and your God.' Mary Magdalene came and announced to the disciples, 'I have seen the Lord,' and he had said these things to her." And here we are. Now, imagine, if you will, and it's easy to imagine, I hope, hence why I've got the background here. This is all AI. Imagine, if you will, that we're investigating a case, hence my police office behind me. And it's a cold case, and it arrives on the desk with a slam. But it's probably the most important case that you've ever had to deal with. In the natural, there's no understanding it at all. You just don't get it. The file contains initial incident reports from the morning of a supposed impossible event. It's an empty tomb. Now, there's been many witnesses to this, and the results of this, possibly over 500 at the time, and many, many more since, which is amazing. But you're getting two different accounts of the same story, and they seem to contradict each other. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Boggles the mind, doesn't it? Makes you stop and think. We've got to see if these two stories hold up. We've got to investigate them and look at them and see what they mean. Let's open the file. So we open the file. Exhibit A is from a witness who's called John. We'll call him File A John. He's very precise, very clinical, knows his stuff, and his report is very well written. For somebody who actually has not been formally educated, it is a very well written report. He tells that on the first day of the week, while it was still dark, note it was dark, Mary Magdalene went to the tomb. So it's dark when she went to the tomb. Note that. She sees the stone's been moved. Her first reaction isn't resurrection. Far from it. She doesn't believe there's been a resurrection at all. It's a crime. There's a kidnapping that's taken place. That's where her thoughts are going. This is a whodunit. Who took the body? She goes to Peter and John and reports that they've taken the Lord out of the tomb. We don't know where they've put him. Notice there's raw grief here. Raw grief. In John's account, she's in mourning. Her world has been shattered. The person she worshipped has gone. His claims about divinity being smashed on the head. That's something deep down, and in her way she cared for Jesus. Peter and John of course race there. Mary stays around that area. John records her standing outside and weeping. She's so consumed with grief. Then two angels ask her, "Woman, why are you crying?" She replies, "They've taken my Lord away, and I don't know where they have put him." Now, when she sees Jesus later, she mistakes him for the gardener. She actually thinks he's the gardener. This is the name of the person that was in the tomb. His name was Jesus. He was actually a man called Jesus of Nazareth. He also claimed to be God. He said, let's think of that phrase that he said that really got the religious leaders on edge and got him arrested. Yes, before Abraham was, I am. Before Abraham came into existence, I existed. And of course, she sees it's Jesus and her faith is restored. Her hope is brought back. Now, let's look at the second account, Exhibit B. We'll call that B file Matthew. Matthew's account is different. So different. If you put the two together, at first it makes no sense. He doesn't just focus on the one woman in that group. He focuses on a couple of them. Matthew does that a lot. A lot of twos in Matthew. Reason is witnesses. Two witnesses. Always witnesses to the event. Jesus and the two witnesses, making the event clear that it's a real event. So we have two women. They're named. The one woman is Mary Magdalene. Now it says here, as they arrived at the tomb, it was dawn. So it was light. It was light. Outside, the sun was coming up. There was light. It wasn't dark. There's no panic about a robbery. There's no fretfulness. There's no grieving. There's no panic. There's no blaming anybody for kidnapping. Instead, there's a seismic event. An angel comes down and rolls the stone away for a start. Guards are frozen in terror. The angel looks at the women and delivers the direct proclamation. He says, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here. He has risen, just as he said." He's risen. He told you he would, and he's done it. That's the proof. Everything he did was true. Everything he said that he was going to do was true. The women don't get grief. They don't feel grief, rather. They're filled with what Matthew calls fear and great joy. They're rejoicing. They're excited. In the Greek, there's no word for excitement. Often a term like fear and trembling or fear and joy will be used. It just means excitement. So they're excited. They leave the tomb quickly. They're afraid, they're excited, yet they're filled with great joy too. Suddenly Jesus meets them and he says, "Greetings." And it says, they come to him, clasp his feet, and they worship him. They worship him. It's a dramatic eyewitness encounter. Same event, same woman, but different conclusions that seem not to match. Now, my old mate Father Brown would say this is not how it seems. Let me explain. We've got a lone woman in the dark versus a group of women, particularly two women, at the break of dawn in the light. We got a silent empty tomb, dark, nobody else there. Compared with, other than angels, compared with a tomb with thunderous angels, guards on the floor, scared stiff, and a conversation with Jesus. Both conversations being different conversations. Of course, these look like conflicting testimonies, don't they? They certainly do. So, we're at the scene of so-called crime. You see the tomb there? It's almost light now. We're sort of feeling the effects. I wanted to come halfway between the dark and the light, and we can see the tomb's empty. Has been now for apparently 2,000 odd years. There you go. There's the tomb. So now we've got to think like seasoned detectives. How does this work? How does it make sense? Very interesting. Got to think about all those multiple witnesses. There were many, many, many. If you listen to the accounts of 5 people, there's Matthew, there's John, there's Peter, there's Luke, who did his own investigations and talked to many, many people who had actually seen things happen and knew about this. And there's a gentleman that was called Paul, who knew 500 people who had seen Jesus, or around that number, or over that number even, that had seen Jesus. So we've got 5 scriptural accounts, or 5 sort of state that Jesus had risen. And they all seem a bit different, particularly if you look at Matthew and John, those 2 witnesses. Now, Mary's weeping with grief in John's account. Now, Miss Marple of these 2 accounts would say, my dear, you are not seeing this because you are blind to it. The clue is in the sequence. The clue is in the sequence. So let's look at that sequence. John gives us the slow motion, up close version of one person's experience, Mary's. He shows us Mary before the angelic revelation. She arrives in the dark, sees an empty tomb, and her mind can only jump to the most logical, painful conclusion. Somebody has kidnapped Jesus' body. We keep coming back to that with Mary, don't we, in this gospel, in this account. Imagine it's a film. John has given us the close-up. Matthew gives us the wide shot, the cinematic shot. By the time his account, and we get the angelic message, the women have already received the explanation of Jesus and the empty tomb. The grief is still there, but it's been confronted and overwhelmed with all the supernatural things like angels and Jesus speaking to them. Mary's grief in John is the first few minutes. Peter and John come, she's grieved. The joy in Matthew is that it happens a bit after that, after the evidence has been presented. This is the happy Mary now. This is the Mary that's been through that grief, seen the gardener, seen it was Jesus, ecstatic, worships him, and then knows the truth. This is a different Mary. The 2 aren't contradictory. And this leads us to those post-resurrection appearances. Mary wasn't the only one, or that other woman weren't the only ones to receive those appearances. The file's full to just say it's rubbish or whatever. We have 2 guys walking to the road to Emmaus. Luke talks about that. There's 2 men walking to Emmaus. Jesus walks with them, goes through all the scriptures with them regarding who he is, and then they don't know who he is. And then at the end of the walk, has communion with them, and instantly they see who he is. Loads of people in locked rooms all over the place seeing Jesus come to them, walking through walls, appearing. It's all there. He appears again a week later to Thomas, who wasn't there when he appeared the first time. He appears to them. And finally, as I've said, by Paul, he talks about the 500, more than 500, in fact, people that Jesus appeared to. Jesus' appearance were both public and they were both physical and public. He was seen. They could have been making it up, couldn't they? All these stories. But there was a man called Charles Colson in the 60s and 70s, and he wrote a book, I think in the 70s or 80s, about that, about the fact that he was investigated by the Watergate people, and he and the other people that were involved in that, after 2 weeks, were breaking down and telling the truth. The Romans would have tortured and humiliated and killed And yet these guys, these 12 guys and the other witnesses, never ever gave up on that story. Jesus is alive. It's a bit chilly, isn't it? Let's go back to the office. So as investigators, we're sitting back and we're looking at all the data. Yes, we have two different accounts of the morning. One focuses on the raw human reaction that took place when the meetings first happened between Jesus and Mary. The other focuses on the moment of divine explanation and the joy that was felt. We have accounts of the various appearances. This all tells you they got their story straight. When a story is perfectly identical on every level, and all the accounts match, and all the words match, and all the events match in time, and everything just comes together, everybody's telling the same story, that's not the truth. That's a lie that's been collaborated by the people telling it. The truth is messy. People have different views. Take a car accident. Somebody's hurt. People saw the car accident. Somebody who saw it from the back will notice that there was a man driving the car because they saw the short hair. The person at the front, however, saw it was a young woman with short hair. The person looking from the side wasn't sure because the sun was shining, but they knew there was somebody driving the car. They think it was an older woman because it looked like she had wrinkles. Do you get my drift? Perfect, identical accounts are a sign of conspiracy. And the fact that these accounts aren't identical just proves it even more for us, doesn't it? John is focused on the personal journey from grief to belief. Matthew is focused on the official divine proclamation and the resulting joy that the prophecies have been fulfilled in Jesus, who is now risen from the dead. They aren't contradictory, they're complementary. They are two different authentic perspectives on the same reality based around when Jesus was seen that morning, in the early hours before the dawn had come and later as the dawn was rising. They actually read like real people telling the truth about an event. The case isn't one fabrication. The tomb was empty. Jesus had risen. This is an advertisement regarding what I put out last week. Matthew account, The Passion. It's still there. Late Night Grace, go and watch it. It's an experience in sight and sound. This is me later, not wearing my work attire. Have a great resurrection week. Enjoy yourself, love life, love Jesus, and be free. But I also want to add something else. This has been a co-production with my church, Grace Church Fellowship in the northeast of Scotland. We're an independent body with what you call third wave Christianity, if you want to give it a name. And we're about the love and grace of Jesus Christ. If you're interested in becoming part of the church, doesn't matter where you're from, we can talk. You can find me at GracewatchUK@gmail.com. That's GracewatchUK@gmail.com, and just email me. Or you can look for Sean Mason Corkery on Facebook. And if you see this mug, this face, you'll know that's the one to go for. And if you want to set up a house group, or you can't get to church and you need a church online, consider us. That's simple, nothing more. Let's go on the journey together. So that's me done for this week. And like, subscribe, leave those comments, ring that bell so that you can get notifications as when I'm putting this out there, Late Night Grace. I am continuing with the journey of faith. It's called the Walk of Faith, and we've got to Acts 15, so that will be out very soon. But this was a special, two specials in fact, if you go to the Passion account for over the Easter period. So God bless you and be with you, and I'll see you on the flip side.